Okay, so Chelsea's asked me to come up with some drills that are going to help her core to help kind of with recovery coming back after giving birth to a child. So we thought we'd film them and so you guys can see what we're going to do. We're going to use some basic kind of jiu-jitsu drills that require maintaining core structure and also like elevating the hips. So all of them are going to kind of come from an idea of where we're down like this, we're kind of having to keep our core tight, and then we're going to elevate our hips up off the ground without bringing the feet to the ground, so we're not gaining anything by like pushing off or pushing off the person.
Yeah, these can be done with gi or no gi, right? Yeah. And we just happen to be in no gi. So.
Yeah, that makes no real difference, and they're going to kind of help you out regardless of what you're looking at doing, okay? Whether
right
you want to play
now I'm pretty much rebuilding my guard from the ground up, so
yeah,
we're going to start from the beginning.
So the first one is very simple. We're going to use a single leg X position, and we're going to go like repeatedly go through it. So I'm going to stand, get this way. I'm going to stand, Chelsea's going to hold on to my ankles, like so. And now she's going to bring her knee up and lift her hip up. But the goal here when she does this, she's a little bit too low down. She needs to lift her knees up every time as high as you can. So you're really trapping above the knee line. And she's dropping, goes to the other side, engages, lift the hips up, and then drops down, lifts the hips up. And you just keep going for like a minute. Okay, and it is quite, come around this way. It is quite core intensive. When you start doing it, you'll realize that you use your core a huge amount. So you're going to lift and trap. The feet shouldn't go to the ground, and your goal is not to swing them either.
I literally can't not swing my legs right now.
So you're always like trying to control. So if I do this same drill, and if you have no core, it'll be really, really tough because you can't get there in the first place. So when I'm here, my goal is to be in this position. I want to kind of end here as well. Lift my hips up, engage them, and like keep them back down. So I'm not dropping them all the way down and then trying to use that momentum. So I drop them back in and they stay high every single time. Okay, so it's a very tight, small movement rather than this, which like you're laying the tension off your core and you're using a little bit more momentum to
You're
come back
also
up.
opening up all the passing bits.
Yeah, which you don't want to do. So it's good. It's good in terms of like developing your core strength, but also retaining your guard, developing your guard as well. So that's the first one. The second one we'll do, laying the back for me. Chelsea's going to be in this open guard position. All I'm going to do is I'm going to step into a like hip knee toriando. So I'm going to go hand on the hip, hand on the knee. Chelsea's going to go and she's going to bring the foot over, go to reverse de la Riva. But as she does this, I'm going to step around. I want her to bring her hip up to try and get it. So we're not just using the flexibility, we're trying to engage our hip. So if I get super low down here, now she has to use the hip to get up. So if I do this drill, because I don't have the same flexibility as Chelsea. So when I'm here, I get this reverse de la Riva, spin over this way.
Okay, this way.
So I get this reverse de la Riva hook, and at the same time, I'm using my hip, bringing this in tight to step it up and go to the reverse de la Riva. She goes to the other side. I have to engage my hip every time to switch over. And again, I'm not dropping my legs down in between because I don't want to give her the space. So when we're here, I bring this foot over the top. She goes to the other side. My knees stay tight, and then I have to lift my hip and bring this one back over to here. So go again. If your partner is flexible, like if I give her all this space, she can just bring the leg over. So I have to get low, so she has to start to lift the hip. So that's another one that you can do. Another great one, like working off the same idea, is using the side-to-side drill, but maintaining it as a press-up position. So if you imagine that, like the plank, there's obviously a good core exercise. We're going to do more of like an active plank. So if Chelsea goes on top, she's going to go hands in the hips here, okay, and legs back, but her weight should be over her shoulders, and her knees need to be relatively bent. So right now I can feel that she's already, bring your shoulders forwards, there. So we're using this kind of planking position. Now from here, she's going to jump into a knee slide. So she's going to jump across, and it should only be 3 movements. Okay, it should be jump into the knee slide, jump back straight away. That was definitely not 3 movements. So jump straight back to a plank position, then jump in, here, okay? And the goal Come down. The goal, so if I'm here like this, we've got 3 movements. One is to here, and I jump straight back, keeping my chest up, my head up, then I jump to the other side, here. Like so. Alright, so we're really trying to engage the core. It will be hard, and I guess you can take more steps if you really want to.
Or if you're short.
If you're short, I don't believe that short is an excuse to do this. Bring your shoulders, so try to get your shoulders over your hands so the weight is directly through your hands. Okay, step in, jump straight back, in, straight back, and then maintaining your chest directly over your hands the whole time. It's important when you're doing any kinds of pass. I don't want to get into this position because it gives them space. Kind of what we talked about before with the reverse delegator, just bringing the foot back over. I don't want that, I want to maintain that pressure on top. Next one is lay your back. Simple inversion drill. Sit up me. Actually, no, don't sit up. So you're going to go here, you're going to go underhook, invert, lifting those hips, step out, make sure the foot comes back to the hip every time. So that the leg, again, is not swinging around back to the hip. Go invert, up, back to the hip. And this should be a control. Go invert, up, back to the hip. Okay. So we're not like, this leg can't be used like as momentum. We can't be used to catch momentum and do any of that kind of stuff. We're having to lift our core up, switch, and then control it on the way down as well. Go again. Lift up, in, control it on the way down. So that's a really nice movement. It can also, just laying around, it can also be coupled. So in that situation, Chelsea can do it at the speed that she wants. If I start to step into it, and I kind of crawl out of it, it's a way for me to make it work faster. So I'm going to step into a knee slide. As soon as I step into the knee slide, she should have the underhook and she should invert off it straight away. Okay. Yeah, once she gets to this position, I step out and then I step back in. Keep spinning, leg through. Okay, I can go to the other side. She should underhook, step in. So I'm now forcing her to go, not when she's ready or not when she's happy, but the moment that I step into that position. If you do these drills for like a minute, you'd be surprised how tiring it is on your core to like stay in. There's one other one that you can do, which is a solo drill. Lay your back. It's a very, very simple drill. You're going to extend your legs out relatively straight.
I can't even do it.
And then you're going to go around. Your feet are going to track along the ground in a big circle. And your goal is to keep them as low as you can. All the way. Yeah, but so bring them over your head as well. There. That's it. So if I do the drill, I'm not warm, but we'll work it from here. So my goal is when I'm here, I'm keeping my feet along the ground. And at this point, I then have, so right now I'm engaging all the obliques and all that kind of stuff. Here I then have to start lifting, up, over. And now, as we go back down, it shouldn't be a flop. That's not what you're looking for. You're looking for some control on the way around. Here, you go all the way through and you just keep this movement going. The slower you go, the more intense it will work your core. When you go one direction, you go the same thing the other way. It's very simple. That's also very good for your guard retention, your back flexibility, your hamstring flexibility. It's actually something I got from Braulio many years ago. It works really, really well. If you can get those toes just to track across the ground, it will be good for you.
This should really emphasize how important your core really is to your guard retention. If you're finding it hard to retain your guard, you might actually be having problems with your core, which I had never thought about until I all of a sudden didn't have a core, and I'm having to rely on blast doubles off the bottom to get up. So.
Oh, that reminds me, there's one other one that you can do by yourself as well, which is kind of coming off of a sweep or a blast double. You go here, and what you're going to do is you're going to fold one foot underneath you, sit up, and bring your hips through. And then don't lay all the way back down, just switch. Yeah, so using this movement, which is kind of exactly the same as coming up for a blast double or coming up for a sweep, but I'm not throwing my legs out to come up. I'm just bringing my legs through. I can go all the way back, but a very small movement. And again, I'm keeping my knees tight, so I'm not swinging, I'm not gaining any momentum, which is really the key. I'm making my body do the work versus allowing momentum and inertia and all those kind of things to help me out. Good. Hopefully you found that useful. if you want to develop your core.
We'll keep you updated with more drills as we develop them.
Absolutely.